I looked away.
I call this meeting to order. Is there anybody in the audience that, oh, Valerie, I don't even have to finish my statement. You're on.
Board and Superintendent Young, I don't want to take up your valuable closed session time. I just wanted to let you know that I put one of these in each of your places. It's just some information provided to you by the confidential unit. You have on your agenda tonight to speak to unrepresented groups regarding health benefits, and the confidential unit is one of those groups, so this is just some information provided to you, and the confidential group's available for any questions, if you have any, that might not be answered on these pages.
Any questions? Thank you, thank you, Valerie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other from the audience? If not, we'll adjourn to come to order. Roll call, we have one board member absent, Mr. Stroh. Student representatives, Jessa Del Prado and Lucas Goulart. Okay, welcome guys. Let's rise for the pledge. Salud. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Report on closed session items. Conference with legal counsel, claim 624636. Ms. McFarland motion. Mr. Conexac second that the board reject claim 624636 by the following vote of 6-0, 1 absent. That concludes all closed session items. Thank you. We'll start out with our representatives. We'll start out with Ms. Prado, please, today.
Good evening, President Nava, members of the board, Superintendent Young. I have a shorter report today. So, homecoming was a huge success. Both our JV and varsity football teams won their games. Almost 600 tickets were sold for the homecoming dance, and school spirit is at an all-time high for BC. Student government is recovering after homecoming season, but as we enter the fall season, we have begun planning our season of giving, which will kick off with a blood drive on December 14th. Advertising for the blood drive will start November 1st. Students 16 will require a parent's signature. A very special congratulations to our homecoming king and queen, whom I'm very proud to say are both members of student government, Samuel Broger and Roxanne Moreno. A congratulations to the rest of our wonderful homecoming court of 2023. Speech and debate has been hard at work over break. At their tournaments, 9 students placed, 4 of them placing first. Our varsity girls volleyball, water polo, golf, tennis, and cross country are first in league. Boys varsity cross country and water polo are also first. Girls flag football is second, and boys football is third. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. I just want to mention that Bear Creek football has got about 3 wins. I know that because they beat my alma mater that I used to go to, taught, but it's good. I think it's the first time in a long time. But anyway, congratulations on things going. And you had a little break here, right? So, you had a 2-week break?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have some comments from Lucas.
Good evening, President Nava, members of the board, and Superintendent Young. I also have a shorter report, but student government has something very exciting to announce. We worked with our athletic department and just purchased a new and improved portable sound system with 2 humongous speakers. They're like twice my height. 2 smaller speakers, a subwoofer, wireless microphones, Bluetooth connection, and so much more. We're planning to use this sound system for all of our athletic competitions in the future, as well as some more school events. It just was delivered yesterday. You should see it, it's crazy. So as for events, tonight we are celebrating our girls volleyball, girls tennis, and girls water polo senior nights to celebrate our successful Flame athletes. Upcoming this Thursday, boys water polo also has their senior night. And then to wrap up the week, on Friday, we will have our football senior night against Tracy. The theme is Pink Out to show our support for breast cancer awareness. And then we have a few upcoming events. Red Ribbon Week is going to be hosted by Friday Night Live from October 23rd to the 27th. There's going to be a Spirit Week promoting healthy habits and saying no to drugs. And finally, the World Language Department is hosting a Knocktober event from the 30th to November 3rd. This is a week intended to acknowledge our diverse campus and celebrate a variety of cultures. There will be many lunchtime activities, including a Dia de los Muertos celebration on the 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. I just want to mention that I saw the swimming pool is completed,
It is.
and it would be open on the 24th of October. Are we having any celebration for that, Miss Chelsea?
You're working on that with Mr. Connie.
Awesome, very good, very good. It's a nice pool, and it's been, due for a long time.
For sure.
Okay, superintendent's report?
Yeah, Mr. Nava, members of the board, and also to Lucas and Jason. I know on the 27th, it's a big day because Lodi and Tokay play each other in football, as does Bear Creek and McNair. So on that evening, Jason, you're going to need to host me. You're also going to need to host Dr. Dosti and Mr. Dawson, because all three of us will be at your game, and not to leave Lodi and Tokay out of it. You should know that Dr. Solly and Mr. Lambert will be present. So any board members who want to join us, hopefully Ms. Del Prado will not run away from us when we're on campus. But we look forward to those games. Those are exciting nights for Lodi Unified. A couple things I want to make you aware of, and you kind of stole my thunder there, Mr. Nava, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first I want to tell you that we have, in response to our Lodi Unified community, we've been working on a refresh to our district website as part of our communications plan. And so I'd like to show you the new and improved Lodi Unified School District website. The goal was to take the data we collect whenever people utilize our website and prioritize the areas where people most utilize it. And this is important specifically for our community to be able to access important information. And so if you haven't had a chance to look at it, you can now see that it has changed from what it once was. And hopefully this continues to improve communication on our website, a critical part of the district's communication. So thank you to DJ Rebang, our webmaster. With a name like DJ Rebang being the webmaster, it just sounds right. And Edith Holbert's entire technology department, and Chelsea, of course, for working together on this important communication plan. Second, and this is the piece that you just hit on, I'd like to share some pictures of our brand new pool at Lodi High School. It is not open yet, but you can see as of today, Jeanette Jimenez in our office went out and took some pictures so you can see how beautiful your new pool is at Lodi High School. And Mr. Porter can tell you, having adequate showers for our swimmers and water polo athletes, as well as storage space to house all the equipment. This is what is provided at Lodi High School. So we just wanted to give you an update, and yes, the goal is to be done by the 24th, and Mr. Khan is working to make sure that we sign off and that we can get our swimmers in that pool, even though the timing we know is difficult as the season comes to an end. And I know that's an important part of the season for Lodi High School's water polo team, being that they are at the top of the standings and will be participating in sections in the near future. So with that, I have nothing further to share other than to say good things are happening in Lodi Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Young. Comments from the public. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. The board cannot engage in dialogue about public comments because of the restriction placed on by the California Brown Act. Are you familiar with all the 3 minutes and gives you warning? We have our first speaker, Mr. Andrew Robinson.
Board members, superintendent, first I'd like to thank LEA President Lisa Wilkins for speaking about some of my issues at the last board meeting. I had fully intended on leaving after speaking due to some work issues, but then when I heard her topics that were my topics, I stayed. My wife and I would like to thank you for speaking on those needs, and so do a lot of other parents and children. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ball for having a discussion about discussing your questions amongst your board members after we discuss our things with you. This evening, I'd like to note that no one from the district has still reached out. Tonight, I would like to address another issue that my wife and I find a little bit disturbing is mistrust. We trust that teachers, specialists, therapists, and principals are all on the same page. For instance, I brought up last time that our daughter's daily report card showed that she only had 2 speech therapy appointments in the 29 days. This week, the autism program specialist emailed my wife after watching the meeting on YouTube, mind you, to inform us that the speech therapist has received a majority of her therapy. Now, in my line of work, I like facts and proof, tangibles, things that I can prove one way or another. So who do I believe? Do I believe the substitute teacher who sees my daughter daily and knows what's going on in the classroom, what she's doing, or do I believe a person I've never met or is possibly on Zoom saying she's done a job and reporting to her boss that she did the job? I don't think it's a specialist. I trust her. With that, I'd like to address what the diligent search means. I inquired with Sac State, Consumers River College, San Joaquin County Office of Ed Teachers Program. There's no job postings there. So where are you guys looking for qualified teachers? Because it appears to me that it would be taking a shortcut so you can just hire whoever you need. And that's concerning to me, so that you guys can get around a loophole or check a box. We want qualified teachers, not just for special ed, but for the regular teachers as well. And that's very concerning that might be going on. And I'd like that to be looked into by the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Smith.
Good evening, Mr. Young, President Nava, and board members. My name is Maria Smith, and I teach 5th grade at John Muir Elementary. I'm here to ask that you negotiate with your teachers in good faith. When you go back to the negotiating table on October 27th, send a team that includes your director of personnel, not just your attorney. Give us the full 8.22% COLA, which is what the state gave you to pass on to your teachers. Why do we have to fight and beg for this money each year that you receive it? We will not go away. We deserve more. Our students deserve more. How do you expect to retain your current teachers and attract new teachers to our district when you treat us with such disrespect? Please do better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jackie Fry.
Good evening, Mr. Young, President Nava, and members of the board. My name is Jackie Fry, and I teach 5th grade at John Muir Elementary. I'm happy to hear that several of you will be attending some upcoming high school events. I want to tell you about a few events happening at our school that I would like to invite you to as well. This Friday, October 20th, we have our annual Harvest Festival from 4 to 7 o'clock. It would be great to have some administrators and board members visit our school and see our teachers and students at a fun community building event. Our teachers work hard and go above and beyond to create memories that our students will remember forever. Please plan on joining us. We are also having a Veterans Day celebration on Thursday, November 9th at 9 a.m. We are inviting all of the veterans from our school family to join us that day so we can acknowledge them and thank them for their service. If you are free that morning, we'd love to have some district representatives supporting our elementary schools as well. I would like to end with encouraging the district to negotiate with the teachers to settle our contract. We are 2.5 months into the school year and we still have no contract. We deserve the full 8.22% COLA, and a raise would be great too. Show us that you acknowledge that teachers are the backbone of this district. Everything we do is for the students. Show us that you respect and appreciate us. Thank you.
Thank you. Adriana Hernandez.
President Nava, members of the board, Dr. Solly and Mr. Young, My name is Adriana Hernandez, and I am an educator and GSA Club Advisor at Lodi High. You may remember me from my email regarding the removal of the LGBTQ+ flags in classrooms at the start of the school year. I'm here today to address this same issue. For the past 3 years, my pride flags in my classroom have never been deemed an issue. But this year, I, along with another colleague who's also queer, were the only ones on our campus asked to remove our flags. On the second day of school, I was told by admin to remove my pride flags due to a complaint made by parents or students who were concerned about political flags in my classroom, and since all Lodi Unified School District staff are to practice political neutrality in controversial matters per district policy, I was instructed to take them down. Lodi Policy 6144 that deals with controversial issues in instruction was cited as the reason for this request, yet the policy itself fails to mention anything about pride flags. As you know, the California governor has recently signed into law AB 1078. Section 202 of that law states as following: education is a fundamental right under the California Constitution. State statutes further place upon local educational agencies the affirmative obligation to combat bias against pupils within their schools. Under California law, California schools must create an equitable learning environment where all pupils, including lesbians, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning and others, feel welcome. It also states that restricting access to classroom and library materials because they feature LGBTQ people or are written by LGBTQ authors discriminates against LGBTQ people and constitutes censorship in violation of California law and policy. Similarly, efforts to categorically exclude topics related to race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or other protected characteristics, or even of present or historical discrimination based on protected characteristics from school library collections, curricular, or classroom discussion constitutes censorship that violates California law and policy. Based on this California law, it appears to me that the removal of my pride flags using the argument of them being considered controversial is obsolete and actually goes against the policy read above. Lodi is not above the law. So my question is, when can I put my pride flags back up? What are the parameters for supporting our LGBTQ students? We need direction. Addressing LGBTQ+ issues were of high priority when flags were being taken down on the second day of school, but here we are 44 days later and we have yet to have our questions answered. Mr. Young came to a GSA meeting and this question was asked and we were still waiting for an answer. I've had more students comment on the absence of my flags rather than their presence. They want to know when my flags will be going up. For a district who claims to celebrate diversity and inclusivity, you need to do right by your students, do right by your staff. So again, I ask, when can I put my flags up? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Good evening, members of the board and district staff. Some random thoughts have come to mind. So next week, I'm going to be honored with a token of being a 30+ year teacher. And to me, the best gesture of appreciation you could give me would be giving me my COLA, because we work hard and the state gives that to you. You should give that to us. I also want to address staffing issues. At my site, which I'm at Tokay, we have 20 teachers teaching 120%. That's a fifth of our staff. We also have 5 vacancies, including math. And I know that for a fact, math is going to have a serious pile of vacancies next year at our site due to people leaving the profession, people retiring. We've had people leave districts because they are offered more money, better benefits, and it's going to be a crisis. And it's going to be too late by the time you realize you need to fix it. So I really hope when you go to bargaining that you look at this, because it's coming to an head. And if you wait much longer, you're not going to be able to dig yourself out of it. You're going to have too many openings and nobody will want to come here. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angela Garcia.
Hello, members of the board, President Nava, Mr. Young. Ann and I were roommates in college. That's where we got it. Thank you, Ann. I have some joys and concerns. My joy first is the RBET mini conference, and it was a huge success. RBET teachers worked so hard on Friday. I'm not an RBET teacher, I just happened to come along for the ride. There were 12 sessions. Breakfast was provided by the presenters because there was no budget given for this conference, so the people presenting put our money out. Breakfast provided for the presenters. Lunch was provided by teachers, retirees, community members, a board member, Leah, and the Standard. They put in money. We raised probably $1,200
to buy lunch from a local cafe, Ohana Cafe in Stockton. More than 60 teachers attended. They all got paid to attend. They got great knowledge, and I want to thank Dr. Ball and Mr. Young for coming. We appreciate that. So hopefully maybe you'll mention what you saw. She came in before she went to work. It was great. Another joy is that Julie Morgan Kindergarten, that's me and my friend, Mrs. Bartlett, we went to Fire Station 14 today. We had a great time touring our neighborhood fire station. We too at Julia Morgan have some events coming up. Trunk or Treat is next Wednesday night from 4 to 7, and Mr. Pappas is gonna have a pirate ship, I think. So you might wanna come. Next Friday morning, we're having an all-school pumpkin painting party. Mr. Pappas wanted to make sure everyone could participate. So we're doing it in school time, and the teachers are signing up for times, and then we're gonna be painting almost 500 pumpkins, so come on over. My concern is the cost of insurance and the lack of COLA. COLA from California is 8.22. COLA from the state is to address inflation. Anything being called adjusted COLA, that's a term being used here in Lodi Unified, is like using alternative facts for facts. So please quit using the word adjusted COLA and just call it COLA, and we don't want to do with alternative facts. Please bargain for COLA and more. Is it important to people like me, people like Ann, your employees? It makes our lives better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sally Hanston?
Good evening, Mr. Young, Mr. Nava, members of the board, student representatives. Always good to see you. So nice to see you, Sherry. I had a lovely 2-week vacation. The only sad thing about it was my friend who had a massive stroke. And I was thinking, I've been thinking like everyone else about the rise we're having in our healthcare benefits. There was a mistake last year, and they covered more of our benefit than they meant to, and it was very nice. So this year we're absorbing that mistake, paying for that, and paying for the additional rise in medical expenses. And if we look at all the insurances, they all went up. So everything is going up, so that 8.22 COLA seems mandatory now because of what happened with our health care. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking in numerous board meetings about all the vacancies that we have, and we're like, Lodi used to be a fabulous place to work. And I'm happy that you're addressing the healthcare issues for our employees who hardly make enough money to live. And if they were to buy the insurance, the CSCA employees, they wouldn't have any money to live on because the insurance would cost almost their entire salary. I really think the board has to seriously find a solution, bless you, a serious solution to this problem that we have with healthcare. It's not like it's been a surprise that healthcare rises every year, and our benefit does not increase. I'm a single employee, so for many years when there was extra money, I was happy to give my money to other people. Now that I'm going to be spending about $400 a month on my health care, yeah, I feel a little more grinchy about it. But I'm still going to let my money go to help other people to make insurance affordable for all our members. But this is really something that you need to address if you ever want to keep teachers, if you ever want to attract new teachers. And it needs some serious focus. And I know you are serious people. And I trust that you will come to something that we can all accept without making us fight nickel and dime for everything. We are giving our hearts to our children. Coming back from the vacation, my kids, I said, how was your break? Did you enjoy it? And they're like, well, it's okay, but I'm happy to be back at school. And I was happy to see them. It would be nice if I could say, I love working at Lodi Unified, which I haven't said probably for about 15 years. I sat in the auditorium when we were talking about all the things we were going to have to cut. We had the Bear Creek Band came and played for us, and I was thinking how much better they sounded when they started in 4th grade, a cut we've never recovered from. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes our public comments. Public comments on consent agenda A. The public and student representatives may address the board on consent agenda A, routine business. Each speaker shall limit the time to 3 minutes. State your first and last name. Anybody want to talk about the consent agenda A? Routine business?
President Nava, members of the board, I was gonna say doctor, Mr. Young, I'm so used to that. Yeah, there was one, I just had a question, I know this has been, I've asked this before, and that is the, on the HVAC. I'm glad we're awarding a contract, I would just like to see what the, schedule is, so that we can let sites know when to expect their new HVAC system. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any board member would like to pull any items from agenda, consent agenda A? Ms. Alexander?
Yes, President Nava, I'd like to pull A6, please.
A6.
Mr. Nava, I'd like to pull IA10 or A10.
A10. Okay, I need a motion on the rest of the items.
Motion to approve, rest of the item.
Motion to approve, second by Ms. McFarland, to approve the rest of agenda, routine agenda A. Student vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Let's go with board vote, please. Motion carries 6-0, absent. Okay, Ms. Alexander, A6.
I have been gone and trying to kind of touch bases. I wanted some clarification on the Tokay High School field information. How, when looking at the items that were listed, who was involved in that? Is it going to be a competition field where games can be held and ADA compliant, I'm assuming, in that? So I don't know, Mr. Khan, if you can address that.
Yes, ma'am, President
Mr. Khan?
Nava, sorry, other members of the board, Superintendent Young. This has been a project that's been discussed and thought about and worked on for the better part of 2 years now. It's difficult. None of our high schools are what I would call full-size. I think Tokay's property is about 43 acres soaking wet, and that's not very big for a comprehensive high school. So we went through one iteration where we hired a landscape architect by the name of Verdi Designs, also the architecture firm that did the Tokay High Stadium. And we gave them parameters, roughly a $2 million budget. We sent the architects to both Lodi High and Tokay High. And we came away with something that looked like it was $13 or $14 million worth of work. So we had to go back to the drawing board because we just don't have that kind of cash. The ball fields will be CIF regulation. Going back to the accessibility, the ADA and the access to bathrooms. It's difficult with 43 acres because now we're trying to fit a field where we don't have to build extra bathrooms or lay hundreds and hundreds of linear feet of concrete as a path to travel out to the ball field. So if the board approves this tonight, it will move forward with what's known as a design build procurement. In a design build, that scope that the board sees will be turned into a design by the awarded contractor. So the contractor will hire their own architect, and then they will work with the district to get the design approved. Estimates will occur at that point, and then we'll move forward.
So are we anticipating both boys and girls teams will be playing actively on those fields instead of having to drive to Stockton?
Well, the original idea was to create CIF ball fields, one softball, one baseball. That could hold freshmen through varsity contests. Obviously, if it's a big varsity contest where there's a lot of attendance, there's probably not enough room for that, but if it's a sparsely attended contest, sure, a varsity could, or game could occur at the site in our minds. We honestly don't see why a freshman in the JV level could not play there consistently in a competitive fashion.
So did coaches and the athletic director have input into this as well, or it was just the architects that were designing that?
On this scope, they did not, although we derived the scope from a bare minimum of what was discussed with the coaches and the athletic director 2 years ago with the architect. The scope that looked more like a $14 million project.
Thank you very much.
Do I understand it correctly? You're anticipating with the design that you could do a frosh-soft game at the exact same time you're doing a varsity game?
As long as one of them's softball and one of them's baseball, there's only going to be
Okay,
one.
I was thinking, I know the size of that would be interesting. And just out of my own curiosity, why no turf, why live grass?
It's an expansive piece of ground. So the board may recall there's been discussion before, and staff has set aside money in the board's field turf account in 2040. We are looking at adding a field turf for flag football at Tokay, but also the board was interested in looking into field turf at Lodi High as well, since Lodi High is the only site that does not have a field turf arena or competitive field. But to cover the entire north ball fields would be a large, I mean, it could be an 8-figure sum.
I just want to make sure that if we're doing it at one school, we're consistent throughout the district.
Well, I believe we will.
Okay.
But we're just not we're not this far along at the Lodi High School.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a motion on this item
I have a couple questions.
Question by Mr. Porter.
Mr. Khan, in your report here, which is kind of basic, I guess, because you're just starting out.
More so because of the design build
Right.
nature.
You talked about a varsity game, girls or boys, softball or baseball, and that would be played at Tokay or Lodi, given the date, and then you have the capacity for, you will have the capacity for a varsity boys baseball game or a varsity girls baseball game on that day, seating, bathrooms and all that.
I don't think I can, it depends on the attendance. Certainly, given the constraint of 43 acres plus all the work that's already been done at Tokay, there is no possibility of creating a Zupo field level baseball field or baseball complex.
So what is your solution then for a varsity game? Because right now I believe that the Tokay is traveling to Stockton.
To Billy Heber, yes, sir.
Yeah, Billy Heber.
I don't know that I have one. If the board wishes a full, a very large event, baseball stadium or softball stadium, I don't know if you have the physical room at any of your 4 comprehensive sites.
Well,
to do that, so.
my concern is having Lodi students, Tokay Lodi, traveling all the way down to Stockton to practice, play games, so forth and so on. And we've done nothing in the Lodi community to facilitate their being able to use something here within the community. When I use the word community, I'm talking about both the city and the school district. And my concern is we do have a 2x2 committee, I believe, with Lodi, where we've done nothing to work on coexisting in some capacity to solve our softball and our baseball situation. Because right now you're way out of whack on Title IX. I don't know where these kids change, because that's a pretty far walk from the locker room. I'm talking about Tokay and Lodi, girls and boys. And I know we've had issues in the past on changing, but I think this needs to be looked at by the people that are involved. I know Mr. Knackstad could probably bring a breath of great information from Lodi High and what's going on at Tokay, but I also think it's a good time for us maybe to collaborate with the city.
The board does have joint use agreements with City of Lodi, and that covers all of the athletic assets, whether it's a Zupo Field, Tokay Stadium, Tokay Pole, prior to construction and certainly after construction, Lodi High School pool as well. But one of the issues that we've run into is, especially in the City of Lodi, both Kofu Field and Zupo Field are also promised to the junior leagues. And they are long-standing arrangements that aren't going to be undone because we need a field. So this project and the one that we are conceptualizing for Lodi High right now is meant to at least take some of the stress off of the spring sport in terms of giving the freshman and JV levels a competitive space, and on occasion varsity. If I may, Mr. Nava.
Yes, sir.
The board's given direction to move forward on Gantner. Maybe there's potential there to turn part of that into a district-wide field. We believe we can at least add some practice space at Lodi Middle. But in terms of, again, creating a Zupo Field level event stadium, I don't think the board has the property to build that kind of asset.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it should be a community solution. But I do see our field at Tokay, the new football field, being used by lower level, lower grade football. I do see our pools being used by Park and Rec, especially at Tokay. It's been used for years. I do see the Lodi City use Tokay's facility for their annual swim meet. So for you to tell me they have a long-standing tradition of using those for youth baseball, I struggle with that, because long-standing traditions to me mean they just want to say no.
Well, they share their fields with us, but they also have long-standing arrangements with the Bobs and those types of organizations.
The one thing about Lodi amazed me is the ability not to change direction of the ship a little bit and move it. I mean, can we get, I know we have a 2x2 committee, Mr. Nalbama.
Yes, we do. Yes.
But I really think this is something that should be looked at in more depth. And Mr. Young probably has something he would like to add.
Go ahead, Mr. Young.
Yeah, we can certainly discuss it with the 2x2 and have further discussions. I do know one other issue that we have is many of the fields in Lodi are also basins that are used during the winter time. So the field Kofu in particular gets shut down fairly easy when there are rain issues, which makes it another challenge for many of City of Lodi's fields. But because of the basin. So, but we will bring this up at the 2x2. That is certainly an appropriate topic for us to have additional conversations with their city council members who are on the 2x2.
Thank you. I have a question. Mr. Khan, this baseball and softball fields, can you host a regulation baseball and softball team?
That is the vision, sir. Yes, again, if it's a highly attended.
I'm not talking about highly attended. I'm just talking about.
The fields will be regulation.
We got McNair coming to play Tokay on that field. That's official. It can be an official field to compete.
It will be a CIF regulation.
Regulation. That's my concern. My concern is that we do have the field and its regulation. Now, to run a tournament there would be very difficult because we only have one field. Same thing with softball, and I think we're conforming with Title IX that we do have the softball field and the baseball field that are regulation and you can host these varsity games, sophomore and JV, whatever they have in CIF. They are used for those. We don't have to go to Supo to play Tokay baseball, because we can accommodate the other teams there, can't we?
I believe we could if you get 300
Not
spectators.
good, not good. Can we?
Yes, sir, I'm adding in the proviso of if you have 300 or 400 spectators, it's gonna be
Yeah,
difficult.
we're talking about attendance.
But the two baseball teams and
Yes.
their entourage, they
Yes.
will fit. We believe at this point
Yes.
that they will fit and they will be able to hold a contest. It will be a legal contest held on a CIF.
So we don't have to go to Stockton to compete at Billy Hebert or any other places, you know, okay? Because this is a regulation field that you can host the league teams to come in and play you on home basis, right?
That is what we will bring back to the board.
I think
when-
that's, we're making progress there. When I first came into this board, we didn't have a stadium, we didn't have any athletics facilities, and I'm gonna tell you, we're in the dark ages. Because I come from a district, and I know other districts that, I mean, you know, they got the stadiums, they got the baseball field, they're lit and everything. You go to one of those high schools in Stockton, in the north side, Chavez or Stagg, you will find that those fields are regulation and they're up to, you know, they can compete.
Why don't we stop using Zupo?
Well, like Mr. Young said, sometimes there are weather things there. I know the city also has concern of the type of grass that's on Zupo, so they restrict usage for certain times of year.
Yeah, the length they cut it. I mean, I remember when Paul Lodi was coaching, he used Zupo, he won a second time. So it's been done in the past.
Mr. Porter, I just want to make sure with the microphone. that
Oh,
you're
I'm sorry.
speaking in the microphone.
But I knew in the past that Paul Lodi used Tony Zupo, and he won a section title. And, you know, going back 20 years, but it was good enough for him then when he had enough players to win a section championship. Why suddenly we've stopped? Because they won't cut the grass a certain length. So I think we need to look into that.
Okay, any other questions on?
I just wanted to make a couple
Yes, comments, Ms. McFarland?
An additional comment. I think it's great in high hopes to be able to think we can play 2 CIF games on that landlocked area. I do want to remember when we're voting on this, from where I'm looking at it, those fields are atrocious for our students. And again, we need something that is more adequate, that's safe for our students. So moving in this direction, I personally feel is the right move. I think it would be a tall order to be able to play a varsity boys and a JV boys CIF regulation league game back to each other, because practicing you're into each other. But we are landlocked with space, but I do want them to be CIF regulation. But I think board members that to assume that we will never have to play at a Billy Hebert or a Zupo or somewhere else, I think is a stretch for us. With years of watching those go on those fields, I think it's a great hope, but I'm not voting on this with my money on that decision. I am voting on that we're getting our students in Tokay High something better to work on.
Yeah,
And I think that's the most important thing to remember.
Right now it's a abomination.
It's an
And
abomination.
it has to do with scheduling too, Mr.
Absolutely,
Okay.
scheduling is part of it, but
All
you
right.
have two at the same time.
Okay, all right, let's go with item A6, yeah. Need a motion, please.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Mr. Porter, second by Ms. McFarland, to approve routine item A6, a student vote. Aye.
Aye.
Board vote.
I can't vote. I'm a bad boy. I have too many questions.
It's based on comments and questions.
No, I got it now, I got it. Jackie, you
Just wanted to make you know.
now I can't do the show without.
Too much to digest, Mr. Porter.
You know, I used that word this afternoon.
Yeah, you have.
And man, it's just been bandied about.
Gary?
Is
You
yours
voted?
up? Is yours isn't showing up?
Oh, didn't I vote? Gary, you have voted. I voted? There we
You
go.
did? Oh, there you
Thank you. All right.
I still haven't got you, Mr. Connect.
Look at that.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I don't know.
he's gonna get his steps in tonight.
Yeah. Did you bring the computer?
All right, motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. Okay, Mr. Porter, item A10.
Yeah, I wanted to look at one of the revised of the school board policy. Again, I'm having problems here. Let me get to it. I believe it had to do with the textbooks and supplementary instructional material. And if you scroll down to, yeah, under where it says appropriateness of materials, whenever a district employee proposes, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, you can read, feel like I'm back in class reading all the prompter. But anyway, the last paragraph says the employee shall confer with the superintendent or designee as necessary to determine the compliance material with district criteria. Why wouldn't we have some type of committee for that? Why would it be you?
Dr. Sally?
This is related to a supplemental resource that a teacher may find, and this happens frequently.
Yeah.
And so there isn't a committee formed in each of those cases, and really this is referring to that it is asked that the teacher bring in materials that are aligned to framework standards and grade level appropriate and such.
Wouldn't that be done at the site, or done by curriculum council, or would that be done by the superintendent?
Well, my reading this would only be if the material was controversial and challenged. If they're using a resource on 4th grade California history and they bring it in.
Why wouldn't the 4th grade teachers decide?
Right, they would, but if it was challenged, then it would be questioned up through the.
Didn't we have this issue before about what's challenged on controversial materials, that the superintendent be the final say? I thought that we had looked at that, or that did not get looked at.
That was in relation to a challenged library book at the time we were discussing. This is not.
Same situation.
This is speaking more towards alignment to the instruction and the curriculum, as opposed to a curriculum adoption, which goes to the curriculum council and the adoption committee, held up to instructional frameworks and such, and voted on and approved by the board. That goes across the board, that goes through the full process. This is a supplemental process that a teacher may bring forward.
Yeah, but you're saying then that the superintendent has final say, is that correct? So Dr. Sally, what did you teach?
I just asked the question, Mr.
Well, I'm
Porter,
just saying-
relevant to the question,
This
to what we had. That's
He's
not
gonna
that
make a
important
decision.
where he taught.
This is because he's gonna be making a decision about maybe.
No,
some-
we're making the decision, Mr. Porter.
Well, that's just what I'm trying to prove, not
Okay.
according to this here. Does it say school board?
Yes.
Does that say that here? Does it come to the school board, Mr. Nolan?
Yes, it does.
Where does it say that?
Doesn't have to. We're voting on a routine agenda that has to do business with the board. It's a routine agenda, business.
I understand.
And then these
I'm not the one-
items,
first of all,
Mr.
I'm
Porter,
not-
first
I'm
of all,
not-
let
I'm
me tell you something.
I'm not yelling.
That's the way I speak, okay? That's the way I speak. I don't yell at anybody. That has to do with the coaching that I did before, okay? But I'll try to tone it down a little bit for you.
I can tone it down.
Okay, now, when we go to item 10, why don't we know to call Dr. Sally on this, to find out the information from him?
My question is, wouldn't it be better for those people in the know of the curriculum to make the decision?
Dr. Sally?
They wouldn't be best, and this is why this is referring to that generally a supplemental resource comes in, the teacher will generally understand that it is grade level and standards based as opposed to not. If there is an issue, then it would rise through the channels as any material or particular topic might. This is really just guidance and ensuring that our instructional classes, programs, teachers adhere to grade level appropriate, as it says here, materials.
My concern is that you have people that have never instructed those certain levels or content making decisions about something they might not know anything of. Now, for example, I don't know anything supplemental for teaching PE. I wouldn't make the decision on it. Now, if you ask me about biology for high school, I could be able to make a decision on it, an informed decision. So my concern is you have people out of the scope making final decisions that have never taught in those areas. Hence my question to Dr. Solomon.
So a designee, if I am a designee, I frequently walk over to our professional development office and ask our instructional coaches who are competent in all these areas, and I query them and ask them for their input, and also to query their colleagues if there's need for more input.
Well,
I wouldn't be the one to judge on a chemistry supplemental resource per se.
Well, then we would have committee, wouldn't we? That's what you just did.
Well, potentially we could. There'd be potential for a lot of committee requests.
Thank you, Mr. Sally. Need a vote on this, please? I need a motion, rather.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Ms. McFarland,
Second.
second by Ms. Ball. Student vote,
Aye.
Aye.
Board vote.
No, again. Take a vote. I have the same thing too.
Motion carries 5-1, one absent. We'll move on the agenda. Consent agenda B, student discipline cases. Board.
Move to approve.
Move to a board by Mr. Knacksack, second by Ms. Ball to approve consent agenda B, student discipline cases. Board vote, students do not vote.
Computer. Okay.
Just sit right here. Motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. We have other action items. Item OAI 1. Mr. Young?
Yes, Mr. Nava, members of the board, before you this evening, the approval of the primary logos for Julia Morgan Elementary and Leroy Nichols Elementary Schools. I will say both principals are present. Should there be questions from the board regarding that?
Any questions from the board? No questions? Questions from the audience? Need a vote, need a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. McFarland, second by Ms. Ball. Student vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Board vote, please.
Every corner, every letter. Yep. Okay.
Motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. Report, we have a report, Dr. Sally, service provided by instructional coaches.
Yes, President Nava, members of the board, Mr. Young. I take the pleasure to introduce Jennifer Tillett and some of our wonderful instructional coaches. They are... I won't get in the way of that applause, thank you. We do have several of our coaches here in the audience this evening. This is just a report to update you on the activities that are conducted with our professional development department and the services they provide to our teachers, both our new and our veteran teachers, as well as administrators and other staff members. So, Ms. Tillett.
Dr. Sally, could you introduce your coaches?
Ms. Tillett's going to introduce them.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
We can start off with that. So, President Nava, Mr. Young, members of the board, thank you very much for having us today to talk about the key role that our coaches play in what happens in our district. So if we could go ahead and stand, and I would go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves. So let's start here at the front.
I'm a K-6 ELA coach. I'm Badminton ELA coach. Gina Schlager, K-8 ELD coach.
Denise Woods, new teachers, TK rollout, and
Beth Fox, K-8 science coach.
Dr. Adrian Miller, gate instructional coach. Sandy Starr, secondary science coach. Sabina Thompson, instructional technology coach.
Sean Kimball, instructional technology coach.
Lisa Miller-Nicolau, secondary ELA. Nicole Milligan, K-5 math.
Joanna 7-12 ELD. Melina Fuentes, PBIS instructional coach.
Thank you.
We have 3 more up here.
3 more.
Elizabeth Wright, STEAM instructional coach.
Cindy Metler, the admin instructional coach. And I'm Terry Dix, new teacher, instructional support coach.
All right, so in preparing this report for you all, we kind of took a step back and did some reflection. And what we found was that we really provided support in 3 different ways. We provide individual support, we provide site support, and then we provide district-wide support. And so that is the way our report is set up. Michelle, did they get a copy of this? So you have the entire report that is extensive and has a lot of reading in it. And today we're just going to do kind of an overview of what is in that report. What we found in reflection is we have a lot of qualitative data and we have some quantitative data.
to look at when we look at whether or not we're being successful or not. And so this year, what we found was that we're gonna put into place some opportunities for us to really hone in on our individual quantitative data. So we have a little bit of both, but we find that we need to put some systems in place to increase that level. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, next slide. I forgot slides. And we actually got to meet everybody, so we weren't sure if we were gonna be able to do that. So this is our coaching staff. Next slide. All right, so to start us off today, we have Elizabeth, and she's gonna talk to us about our individual support we provide for the district.
Thank you. So especially at the start of the year, we really put our priority towards supporting our new teachers who are new to grade levels, new to instructional areas, those who may be in a combination class. And as you can see in the last school year, we targeted and supported 26 permanent teachers who had never taught in the classroom. We had 61 intern teachers who were in their first 2 years of teaching and currently working through their program. We had 108 teacher induction program candidates working to clear their credential. These numbers are approximate, around 200 teachers, but they do remain consistent throughout the last several years. We also provide additional support to our teachers, both veteran and new, as well as some of our paraprofessionals. The support includes going into the classroom to model and co-teach. We assist with the planning process, we communicate through newsletters, we offer professional development, and implement coaching cycles. For one of our coaches, participating in a coaching cycle involved meeting with 21 different teachers working through 27 cycles during a semester. The direction and goal of our team is to inspire and equip every educator, to empower all the students to tackle tomorrow's challenges. This kind of support contributes to teacher retention, fosters collaboration and connection. It also provides staff with someone to reach out to. Next, Cindy will explain how we offer support at the site level.
Thank you. So our coaching department provides site-specific support in numerous ways. One example is collaborating with grade level teams or course-like teams. This includes working with one grade or one course for horizontal collaboration, or working with grade spans and subject areas for vertical collaboration. We also help sites with data chats. These data chats provide teams of teachers opportunities to analyze data. They can look at where their students are and then collaborate to determine what the next steps will be for supporting those students. Another part of our site support is assisting our administrators with planning and then presenting professional development on their campuses. Lastly, we provide site leadership team support. Our largest examples would be PBIS and AVID. 2 years ago, 10 of our school sites received the PBIS award recognition. Last year, we had 22 sites apply and 21 received the state recognition. Over the past 10 years, we have increased the number of AVID schools to 38, and 29 of those have become AVID certified schools. We offer real-time support to teachers for their immediate application in the classrooms. By providing support at this level, we are able to assist sites in meeting their student success goals. Now we have Terry Dix, who will present on our district level support.
Good evening, and again, thank you for the opportunity to share with you all tonight. As you can see, coaches provide support at a district level by facilitating the curriculum adoption process, which includes leading teacher groups through the decision-making process, helping with the initial rollout, and then helping with the ongoing implementation of our new adoptions. Our department also provides onboarding training for new employees each year in our new employee boot camp, with training in district adopted technology as well as curriculum. This year we're adding a new teacher academy, which will meet 3 times throughout the year to provide classroom culture building and curriculum support to those newest to our profession. We also run the teacher induction program, which is the structure through which our preliminary teachers receive amazing support from veteran teachers who mentor them in the process of clearing their credential. This year, we're using approximately 90 of those amazing veteran teachers as mentors. Next, we provide ongoing optional paid training for all teachers, veteran and new, which totaled last year around 200 sessions. And as we move to the next slide, one of the intangibles that our department supports is keeping the teacher perspective in the room as ideas are developed. Finally, for you this evening is a bit of information about our Learn Together, Teach Together annual professional development conference. Under the direction and vision of Superintendent Young and our Associate Superintendent, Dr. Sully, we developed this year's conference, which included a day of vertical articulation where teachers met in feeder pattern groups, K through 12 and 7-12 groups, to discuss and collaborate on standards. A second day was a choice day and additional math training to support our adoption in its second year. The coaching department developed the structure for these days and some of the materials, and our wonderful teacher leaders from across the district facilitated vertical articulation day and shared their expertise on the choice day. As you can see, around 75% of the respondents to our feedback survey had an excellent or good experience. Thank you for your time and attention.
President Nava, if I may add also, the folks in this room, our coaches, are our content experts and grade level experts. I do rely on them regularly. And I also ask them to reach out to their colleagues who they have good relationships with over the many years they've been in Lodi. And I often go over to the PD office and ask them to find out the pulse, take the pulse. Tell me what's happening, what's not working, what's working, what can we do better, what do you need, things like that. And I get a quick response from this team, and they do also have a good connection or web of connections to our classroom teachers who do provide some additional professional development support. And as you can see, those hundreds of sessions can't just be conducted by these, but they are also working with our regular classroom teachers who have a rostered class themselves. This is we're really proud of this group and the work they do. We're happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Board, any questions on the panel? Yeah, quick question by Ms. Ball.
Thank you, that was short and sweet presentation, we'll read the book later. I just was curious for the site support that you have. Do teachers reach out to you, or do they wait for these to occur, these conferences to occur, or do you have them personally reach out to you for that?
So in regards to the site support, usually it is a grade level team or a course area that will reach out. We sometimes also, in turn, will reach out to them if there's something that we know is coming up. We also work with the admin, where sometimes they will have us come out on maybe a staff meeting day and work with grade level teams or content area teams as well. And then as far as individual support, I don't know if that's Liz, would you like to address that one?
So as far as individual support goes, teachers can reach out. We also have connections with their mentor teachers, and we have the conversations even, within the grade level teams, and we put ourselves out there, the opportunity, whether it be during a PD or just a quick email, for them to for teachers to reach back out and meet with us.
And if I can add, all of us have appointment calendars that teachers can schedule appointments that make sense for them at the time they want us to come in. So we're open to them whenever they need us.
Just to follow up, President,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. This is focused just for professional development, or can the teachers reach out to you for any help they need?
That's a great question. Yeah, so we do provide professional development, but another big chunk of our job is to provide in-time support with whatever they need. So we'll go in and talk to them about curriculum, go in and talk to them about classroom management, whatever they need, we're there to support. And we have a unique position because we're not admin, we're teachers. And so we can go in.
Critical, right? they can reach out to this team for any question. I commend that, thank you.
Any, yes, Ms. Alexander.
First off, thank you all for being here tonight. Wow, what amazing people, faces, friendly faces, more faces. Thank you for giving up your night. I just wanted to ask if there was any area, you know, when you look at the groupings of who's covering what, like I see ALL secondary, that's a big group. Do you feel a need in any other areas or areas that you might be lacking where you're like, hey, maybe we could help out this way? Or have you had discussions like that might have surfaced somewhere?
Yes, we currently don't have any representation in social studies, so that would be a huge first hire, I think, especially with adoption coming up with the ethnic studies curriculum coming. So that's definitely an area that we have. We also, Denise this year started as a new teacher support coach, but we have a huge need for TK. And so that would be another area that we find that we're needing. She's spending about 60% of her time on TK rather than on new teacher support. So that would be another area that we would need.
And I would love, as you have these conversations, just when you're happy to be getting together as a group, if you could, if those come up, those needs come up, if you can please make sure that we know about them as well. Because as things change, our needs change too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Yeah, you have a comment?
Well, also too, just looking at the new area model, and it would be great if we could have coverage for those areas so that our directors can say, oh, you can go see your coaches and your coach would be, you know, your STEAM coach for your area. So that would mean a greater expansion, but that's my perfect role play.
Ms. McFarland?
I just want to say thank you. I can't imagine being a new teacher scared to death and everyone on your side giving you the most support they can, but to have a phone a friend, you know, or a colleague that would step in the middle of a class, maybe you're panicking, or at the end of the day, or at 9 o'clock at night when you're putting something together. It's not a 7 to 2 job, I'm sure. And so thank you for your time and energy for our new teachers and our old dog teachers too, you know what I mean? Like, we can always learn something new or a different way of doing it that might help in a classroom. So thank you. You do a lot of work that we don't see front and center. And so I do appreciate what you've done for the district. And we're lucky to still have coaches in our district. So not every district has them, and we're aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McFarland. Next up.
Thank you, President Owen. This sounds like it's very much more involved than the old Inter and BITSA model, which I have to be involved with both of those. You guys play a real important role in the education of the kids in our district, and I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, Mr. Porter.
Yeah, I have quite a few questions. First, Ms. Medler, AVID is an incredible program. And it's been that way since its inception 30 years ago. It really should be expanded in our district. It works. And as an old dog that taught 38 years, it's one of those few programs that they brought in that, wow, it definitely made connections with kids. And I'd love to see that expanded. I have a couple questions for you because I spent some time today. It's one of the reasons why I was late. First of all, on your professional development, and I like data. Can you show me if professional development has improved student achievement?
That's currently what we're working on. So we've been working with Jim Knight and the impact cycle. And the impact cycle it's a more formalized way of coaching, because in the past we haven't had a lot of consistency, because we've had some turnover as well. And so that's what we're looking at, because when we do an impact cycle, we're focusing in on the teacher's goal that impacts student learning.
Right.
And so we'll have additional ones as we develop this and get good at it. That's what we've been working on. We started last year. We'll be able to quantify a little bit more of that student data. But that in-time support for teachers is key within the school day, within having a credentialed teacher in your classroom, helping with those student things. But when we really narrow in and focus in on the goal is when we're going to get the most bang for our buck with teachers and with student achievement.
Yeah, I looked that up. The Brookings Institute can show no inclusive data, professional development, improved student achievement. Might have better enrichment in terms of teachers' performance, but they've shown no correlation. And I've went to 4 various different sites.
John Hattie's work,
he's one individual that I read about, but I went to a lot of other different sites that was very minimal at best in terms of the way that we do professional development. So just something to think about, and I'm sure you've got your resources, and I got live with that.
We like to
We
look
could
at,
have that discussion at another
Yeah.
time. Your learn together, teach together, this I thought was great. Your facilitators. Now, did you guide them on what they do, or did they put together their own presentation?
our facilitators for the vertical articulation day, each of our department areas for our 4 core subjects within the coaching team developed what they were going to do, and then we had training sessions. So the training sessions, they came in and they got trained on how to do it, and so it was a beautiful, complex process, but everybody came together and it really worked out well.
Okay. So the facilitators are the ones that were being evaluated based on what you or scored on based on this pie chart that I see. Is that correct?
Yeah, the pie chart that you see is for the overall conference experience.
Right. Okay. Now, on your PD that you offer, what is your average attendance with teachers? What do we have, 1,400 in the district?
We have 1,400 in the district.
And how many attend?
I would say our average for last year was probably around 12 to 15 people.
Per PD?
Well, that's the average, so you've got some that are higher, some that are lower. We've got some great technology ones going on this year that have had upwards of 70 and 80 people in them. So it just depends on which PD it is, and we're really having a hard time getting teachers, even though we're paying them, and they're tired after school. They don't want to come and listen to another PD. So
No, I added up your new teachers. I sent an email to Miss Dr. Doss the other day, but I was late checking, and I don't know how many vacancies we have, but anyway. It says to me, I got a number of 194 needing teacher support total.
that was the numbers for last year.
Adding, correct, 22, 23.
Yes.
Yeah, you had 194. And I added up how many you guys are, 22? That's 8 teachers per person?
We are
42?
19.
Okay, I guess I added up wrong. That's why I wasn't good at math. So then that changes my numbers. How do you work with 10 teachers per coach? Or maybe I'm looking at this wrong.
Yeah, because of the way our coaching is set up, we're not splitting them evenly. So for example, our STEAM coach is actually covering the entire district.
Right.
So our new teacher support coaches have about, they're the ones that are really honing in and splitting those 200 people to make sure that we're really focusing in on them. But it also depends on what the new teacher needs. So if the new teacher is struggling with ELA curriculum, then we're going to pull in the ELA coach. And so that's where it's not we break it down the whole district that you each have 300 people. It just doesn't work that way with the way our coaching system is set up.
And you must be aware that within 5 years, 56% of the teachers quit or started. Do we have any programs for that to lower attrition? That's the highest attrition rate of any industry in the United States.
Yeah, it's scary, for
Do
sure.
we do anything in our coaching cycles for that?
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
do. So what types of things do we offer?
So thank you for that question. I think it's really important that we look at that. Something that's been a passion of mine and that has been supported by the district and teachers coming is a series of teacher wellness and teacher self-care, and not like going to the spa, but just what you do to take, take care of yourself.
Sure.
And my position now, I've switched into the new teacher role, new
Right.
teacher support coach, and so I incorporate that into everything. Like, you've got to set boundaries, you've got to have a work-life balance, and trying to make that foundational. That's a passion of mine, because I think that is a key to why so many people drop out. We've had some teachers this year that said, no, this isn't what, I just can't do it. And that breaks my heart, because I want them to be able to figure out a way where they can. And so, and that's not just me, that's the whole coaching staff.
Right.
We're there to try to help them make this incredibly tough job that they've chosen be a little bit easier. And so we've kind of woven that into everything.
Yeah, I think if you can't have a healthy teacher, you're not gonna have a healthy classroom.
Absolutely.
Or
The kids know it's a teacher stress, the class is
Read the
stressed.
book currently.
100%.
I read this from Edutopia. I don't know if you know Edutopia. You do? It said instructional coaches. When instructional coaches also teach in the classroom, they sow and build respect with the teachers. Are we doing that? We are teaching in the classroom?
We go in and we model lessons and we co-teach with teachers. I was in the classroom 23 years before I came to coaching.
No, I understand.
And so we're still in there, we're still doing it, and we're still, when we go in and model and we collaborate with the teacher, we also bring best practices not only to new teachers, but to anybody that wants them or hasn't used them yet, or just wants something new in their tool belt.
Yeah, I just wonder if it would be more effective on a daily lunch basis, where you have one teacher that they could go in and check on and watch them and discuss it, and they share the efficiency and move it together as a team at the site.
I can see how that would work as well, and I know there's many models out there with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if that's something that, we feel like we want to move toward. But I'll also tell you that I have the ability, I've done this a few times, taken a new teacher who was really challenged into a veteran teacher's classroom, and the two of us sat and watched, and then we left and we could talk through what we saw and what was going on, and then I could go back into that teacher's classroom, model a lesson, support them in what they're doing. And so the power of our model right now is that I have the ability to focus all of my energy, because I'm not responsible for students rostered to me.
Right.
That would be a totally different workload. I can really focus on those new teachers and the skills they need. And I say I, but I mean we.
Yeah, it's amazing. I got one more question before I have to do a blood pressure pill to I guess it was down here. When you walk into a classroom and you're working with a new teacher, what's the first thing you look for? All of us when we walk into a classroom, what's the first thing we look for the teacher?
It seems like you have something in mind.
I like that. You remind me of my AP. I like that. I miss that. If it is, what is it?
Well, and I don't walk into a classroom first, so I always meet with the teacher ahead of time.
I like that.
And try to ask.
And develop a bridge.
Exactly.
Right.
What's your next step? What are you thinking about? What do you want me to look for? Because I am not an evaluator. I am not an admin. I'm a teacher.
No, but are we all going to do it? We're going to look. What do you look for?
I look for what's going well and what might need to be changed.
That's a great answer. I love it. Thank you so much. Good job. Good job, all of you.
Thank you, group. I know that all you people that are in this coaching field have a passion for education. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on that, because you help teachers, you help administrators, you help students. I mean, there's a plethora of things that you do that I'm really pleased for this district. And you talk about people leaving the district, I bet a lot of you people keep these new teachers in this district because of your guidance and leadership that you have. I'm almost certain that that happens. We talk a lot about, you know, people leaving the education. A lot of people are doing something else. They're just actually tired of it. But here's the example of you people doing this for us, and I really appreciate, as a board president, I appreciate you people being in this district and having the leadership that you have and the ideas that you have on all the things that come with teaching. Now, one question I had is social studies. Why don't we have the social studies? I'm just curious. Mr. Maybe you can answer that.
That's a wonderful question. Thank you, Mr. Nava. When I walked in this district, that was one of my first thoughts is where's the social studies? I think we need to look at that seriously for an expansion. Ms. Till mentioned that ethnic studies is a curriculum that's coming on, but we have, for all the time I've been here, although when I first got here, there was a coach who was tech coach who had been a high school social studies teacher that sort of took on the roles, but then he moved away and now we have been lacking. I would like to also but thank you the board, because over the last 2 years we have added a STEAM coach and we've added a new teacher coach that a couple years ago, Terry was a tech coach. Now she's dedicated specifically to new teachers and for the purpose of what was mentioned, we can't lose our new teachers. So we give them the full court press. We give them full attention. And not to discard our veterans, but those are the ones we really gotta build up, give them strength so that they can run. We can certainly continue to look at our LCAP and see if we can expand and bring that social studies missing link to the table.
Very good, thank you, Dr. Sally. One statement that you made is that you get the pulse. You know, just like a coach, you get the pulse from these people and what's happening in the trenches. You know, I know you don't spend too much time in the trenches because you're listening to these people, but you absorb all that and make it good use on your LCAP and all the things that you do. Thank you very much. Questions from the audience?
Kelly Hanston, 6th grade, Julie Morgan, Mr. Young, Mr. Nava, members of the board, students. Gentlemen, you guys took about just about everything I was going to say. I was going to talk about how great Teresa was as a tech coach. She helped me survive the change as an old teacher who doesn't deserve the help. And Dr. Ball, we were talking about the support, what Terry's done with her programs. Those were really essential, especially during COVID. Really helped a lot of teachers get through that very stressful, which is still COVID stressful when I have 6th graders who can't add 5 and 7. And Liz, I knew Liz when she was 7. I recently had Beth in my room, Sabina is in my room. Now I can play my VHS tapes, which is really good for me. I have some good ones. But every time I've ever reached out to a coach, and I'd like to thank the ELA coaches, I don't reach out for help from them very much, but there's technological things that they need to help me with. Every single coach I've ever asked for help from has been very immediate, very responsive, and I really appreciate them very much as an oldster. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Answera Garcia. I wanted to first, Terry has been a part of my life. Holly, I think every day she emails me, I think she loves me. Savina, I mean, they all come and help all of us, and I think that what the appointments we can make, I work as a tip mentor, I get help from my mentee from them, so they do a job. I think some of the questions Mr. Porter were asking, the thing that fills that void that they can't do, that's where the RBET teachers come in. So they do that, and maybe you can't measure something, maybe it isn't something measured, but if Terry comes to my room, or if Cindy comes to my room, or Sabina comes to my room, I'm trying to think of Nicole, If those people come to my room and help me, they've saved me a lot of grief, they've saved me a lot of time, and they've put me in a better space. So maybe it's not measurable, but if you have a happy teacher, you have a happy classroom. If you have a teacher that's functioning, you have a happy classroom. And the coaches make that happen. And where they can't do that, the RPIT teachers pick that up and make that happen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I do one more thing?
Quick, please.
Real quick. Okay, Courtney, when you ask what you look for, when I walk into a classroom, I look to see the kids that have smiles on their face and if they look excited.
That's what
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Holly Joy Mueller. Thank you for having us tonight. One thing I'd like to emphasize with our ELA and the tiered instruction supports that we're adding with our district, and that's a district goal, is that we're going towards more data-informed instruction. And one thing teachers need help with is actually locating the data. And there are a lot of the programs that we're using, iReady, Dibbles, that have prescriptions from the data. Dibbles is a teacher-student assessment, so the teacher's listening to the student and inputting the result, and the data spits out these beautiful prescriptions. Just like if you went to the doctor would tell you, oh, you have an ear infection, you need an antibiotic. The guessing is taken out with these new assessments. As a classroom teacher, this is my 35th year of teaching, this is my 5th year as a coach. I taught first grade wondering why my small group instruction wasn't giving me the results that I'd hoped for. And it was because the sub skills that the students were deficit in were different, but I was giving the same instruction to all the kids. One kid needed some help with phonological awareness, putting sounds together to make words. Another one needed help with vocabulary, but yet I was using the same strategy for all the various sub-skill deficits. That's no longer an issue. Because we have these programs, we can figure out what the students need and teach to the sub-skill deficit. This is the first year that we haven't had phonological awareness as the biggest deficit in kindergarten. With Dibbles, we've identified that now it's correct letter sounds. So guess what's happening? With the science of reading, we're filling that deficit for the foundational skill, and we're moving up the ladder, which means those kids are going to be better readers because we're identifying the issues in kindergarten, first and second grade. And the one thing people with deficits in reading always think about is dyslexia. So with Dibbles, we're identifying the foundational sub-skill of phonological awareness, which is the remedy to overcome dyslexic tendencies. So when we identify that, we're filling that deficit, and then we're not pushing those kids into a resource class or special ed. They're staying in mainstream classes. So I hope that you'll take that little feather and put it in your cap, because you allow us to have those programs. Thank you for your help.
Thank you, thank you. I like that. Better readers, I like that. Any comments from the students?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Nava, members of the board, Superintendent Young. Last year in my AP English language and composition class, we had a teacher who was her first year teaching an AP level class. We had the secondary ELA instructional coach, Ms. Mueller, all the way down there. She popped into our class at least 2 to 3 times. And from a student perspective, at least in my experience, I think that the program is exceptional. I was with a group, and we were putting together a presentation, and we were kind of stuck. We didn't know how to go, like where to go, which direction to go. And Ms. Mueller came up, and we talked it out, and she sort of guided us to the direction we wanted to go. So from a student perspective, at least in my experience, I think that this whole program is completely beneficial for our students.
Thank you, Lucas. Mr. Alprado, any comment?
No comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, thanks again for your presentation, enlightening, and I get to actually know more about the teachers that are serving our Lodi Unified School District. Thanks again very much for your work. All right, we're coming to communications, comments from employee group representatives.
Good evening, Mr. Nava, Mr. Young, and members of the board. Desiree Wise with CSEA. I know there's been a lot of chatter, and probably will be in the next several months, about the healthcare and the increase in the healthcare. And one of the items that I wanted to respond to was a comment that was made at the last school board meeting. Although the rates aren't set by Lodi Unified is in control of how much money they contribute towards our plan. CalPERS sets their rates based off their regions, and the rates are what their rates are. You can go to their website and find the rates. I know I've said it numerous times. My stepmom works for the city of Lodi, has the same Kaiser plan. They're CalPERS. She pays $400 a month. CSEA pays in January $1,900 for a family. So it's a little frustrating. We get a little discouraged when we know that the unrepresented groups are being helped and assisted with their health care. They made the choice to go to those groups knowing that they were unrepresented. In 2005 and in 2006, they chose to put their cap on their salary. And I just hope that you guys keep that in mind when you guys are giving direction to the board or to the district on how you want to move forward. That's one of the reasons why CSEA asked for $850 in their proposal, because we know that problem's not going away. There's a principal at every school, but we have 400 vacancies plus in our CSEA unit. So I hope you keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wise.
President Nava, members of the board, Superintendent Young. To address what Ms. Weiss said regarding the confidential unit, the employees that existed in 2006 that voted on the proposal, which became benefits on the salary scale, are no longer here, but yet the employees have suffered with this for years and years. So that's something that I feel came to an end when last year the board took it back and they gave us a cap. So that's something that we're working towards also. So I just wanted to address that.
Thank you, Valerie. Any other comments from employees?
President Nava, Mr. Young, members of the board. So my comment on the unrepresented groups taking the cap. If you, in 2005, 2006, whenever they did that, if they had $500 for their cap, and you look at the raises over the past 18 years or so, the amount that went onto their cap increased way more than the amount of the cap that has been raised, the amount of the healthcare cap has been raised for LEA, CSEA, anyone else, if you look at it percentage-wise. So please take that into account as well, because you have to look at the amortization of that money over the years. And even if the raise was 3% per year, it was 500 in 2005 or 6. Just off the top of my head, I'd really have to sit down with the calculator to do it. I figured that that's worth at least $700, somewhere between $700 and $800 today, which is about equal to what LEA gets on their cap. So just take that into account. Andrew left early and gave me word that he was very upset that the board spent a lot of time debating $12 million on a sports field, but no discussion for money on meeting special education students' needs. And of course, the one that I wanted, results, here we go. Okay. So this is very concerning. So LEA is concerned with the negative effects on students when Lodi Unified is unable to recruit and retain teachers in sufficient numbers to fill open positions. This is a direct result in the complaints that we have from parents, especially in special ed, students not getting their services. LEA is concerned with the negative effects on students when you don't provide a pathway for some of our classified staff to become teachers, or even our certificated staff to gain more certifications, especially in the special ed realm, to fill the needs. So for example, we've had a deaf hard of hearing teacher retired 2 years ago. She was our only certificated deaf hard of hearing. I know that people, other special ed teachers, because it's just an additional certification, it's not a whole new credential, has had expressed interest in wanting to maybe get that certification. But they're finding that either their local site administrator or the administration here won't work with them to do that, because the classes would mean that they would miss things like staff meetings. Okay. Another thing that we could do is, I know we introduced a stipend for our special ed. And I know that in LPPA, they have special stipends for different certifications. So maybe we need to look at adding stipends for these additional certifications to encourage people within our own ranks to become deaf hard of hearing, or to go from special ed to mod severe, whatever it is we need. Something you need to think about. LEA is concerned with the negative effects on students when there are over 30 openings for special education teachers. And as one of my colleagues said earlier, we have almost every teacher on a high school campus teaching 120% contract, meaning that we don't have the people there. Again, it comes down to attracting and retaining teachers. We're concerned about the negative effects on students and teachers when there aren't enough subs. So that if the teacher needs to take a day, they can't do it. What are we doing to attract substitutes? I know that I've talked to Mr. Dostie, where I have heard from people who say, I have tried to become a sub at Lodi Unified, but the process is so onerous and it takes too long. I can go to Elk Grove, I can go to Stockton, I can go to Galt, and I hear back within 2 weeks. It's been 3 months, and I haven't heard anything from Lodi Unified.
Mrs. Wilkins, I want to remind you that the time was allotted was 5 minutes, and that time is up.
My last comment is, LEA is concerned with the negative effects on our community. Our community. When Lodi Unified holds over $150 million in reserves beyond what is required by law, yet fails to meet the primary and crucial need of having credentialed teachers in every classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from employee groups? If not, comments from board members. Ms. Alexander?
Just very quickly, it's nice to be back. And I just wanted to point out, October is, if you look it up, I mean, it's a very national awareness month. And I just wanted to point out that Mental Illness Awareness Month. And one of the things, after seeing the coaches and everything, and I would love to see some maybe social emotional, not only for teachers, but for our students as well, and working in tandem to bring that about. But I hope everybody has a safe and sane Halloween too when we think about that. But welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your 2-week break. I know a lot of the coaches were working during 2-week break because I saw some of them working. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlin?
Thank you, President Nava. I'm going to jump to advisory committees just as part of my comments. I attended a CSBA.
Could we wait on that till that's the next one coming up, okay?
We can do that.
Any comments?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Mr. Knaxek?
Okay, thanks. Well, start off with, I attended the health benefit event that was here on October 6th, and I made a point of talking to the Kaiser rep. And I asked him why the Kaiser rates were raised more than, percentage-wise, more than everybody else. And he first started talking about, well, you heard of this COVID thing, right? And labor and supplies. So wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody has that problem. And then he gave me an answer that I guess made some kind of sense. Basically, Kaiser's on its own as an integrated business. And so, everything costs more. But the other companies that you may be signed into have multi-year contracts that have not yet expired with their things that cost money. But they will be expiring soon, and that we should expect to see those rates also skyrocket more than they did this last year. So I feel you guys. I mean, it's awful. I know the medical cap is a negotiated item, and just from my perspective, I would like to see maybe the unions put more of their available money that we have maybe towards medical cap, because I look at that as tax-free money. The other thing, I did run across a new employee at that event, and she's a woman, and I was talking to her. I think she said she's from Antigua. She said, I took a huge pay cut to come to Lodi, but I wanted to work in Lodi, which made me feel pretty good. Regardless of all we've been hearing, Lodi still is a pretty good place to work, and people want to be here, even though in her case it costs her some money. Another point, going back to the swimming pool, my first day as athletic director at Lodi High School, and I think that was 2003, I got phone calls. When are you going to square out that pool? When are you going to get, so thank you for finally, so many years later, getting Lodi High School's pool in a position that we can be proud of, and it's good for the kids. And Kelly, you got a long ways to go before you're old.
Thank you, Mr. Connexon. Ms. Wall?
Thank you,
Yes.
President Nava.
Good.
I had the opportunity to stop by and just for a few moments, it was like 15, 20 minutes, for the RBED conference this Friday morning. I requested them to give a little more heads up so I can be there longer, sit in and listen in. Great turnout. The room was full. I loved it. They had arranged food for themselves, which I think maybe next time you tell the businesses early, you might have a better outcome. Apple and a banana won't do, I think. But yeah, it was good. I hope, and I really do hope that you guys had good outcome from the whole thing. The speaker seemed full of energy. I could just see him bouncing from out. I was like, where is he? He was there, and then he was there.
Mr. Ron Boren from the Modesto Schools.
Great speaker.
And Teachers College in San Joaquin.
Very, very good speaker. Good. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time and learned something. I kind of made it just an offline joke saying it's good to see the educators learning. That's always nice. And real quick on the last presentation that we had from our instructional coaches, I feel like 75% of the people who attend or get this help seem to love it. Your 25% is where your focus really needs to be. So maybe that's something you want to think about. The real nitpicky focus will be on the 3% who think it's 2.7% think it's horrible, which I find hard to believe, but it's maybe somebody who hasn't attended as many as necessary. And I do agree with Sherry that the mental health aspect really needs to be looked at. If one of your teachers is coming up to you and asking for help for their mental health services, I think we need to have resources for our coaches to give out to these teachers as well. I really appreciate that. Personally, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Mr. Porter?
Yeah, I took my son, I went with Mr. Young to look at the pool, and it's beautiful. Storage is incredible, scoreboard is beautiful. All the things that I had to fundraise for, it's okay, they got it. So that was kind of nice. I do want to talk about one issue, since we were talking about board revisions. ChatGPT has 100 million followers so far. It's grown faster than Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's AI. And if you don't know about it, the kids sure do. And this young man that was talking about, oh, he got stuck on something, they're not stuck anymore. Because I did this week, I wrote a 9th grade paper for the Industrial Revolution, 5-paragraph essay, and then I tweaked it and made it for a 12th grade. Is that cheating? No, it's not. I'm creating through, just like a calculator, helping with my times table. So ChatGPT is here, and what are we doing with it? Because you're talking about IEPs, you're talking about special ed, you're talking about kids with dyslexia, which is, as the one lady talked about, a big point. 1 in 5 children have dyslexia. 1 in 5. And it's a huge, they have variances of it. So ChatGPT is one part of what's becoming AI. And it's growing not exponentially, it's straight up. And we are behind as a district. We have no policy for it. We have nothing to do with what kids turn in. Because sometimes ChatGPT will have an hallucination. And the teacher will get a paper, and it has nothing to do with what the heck they were talking about. Because the kid didn't massage prompts. And it's quite fascinating to do. Way ahead of us, we need to get way ahead of it. Because just like social media has destroyed us and just went to our brainstem, that's all we think of now. ChatGPT or the AI, it could be very scary where it takes us. So I think as a district, we need to get into our board bylaws on what we feel is not appropriate, what is appropriate. We want our kids to learn how to write. With that, they have out now, they're using it. You don't think they're using it in 8th grade? I can find 200 or 300 kids that are. They're way ahead of us. So as a board, we need to look at that. And finally, what a wonderful presentation they put up together and all the things they're doing. Although, I still would like to see them in the classroom a little bit each day teaching. That's just my philosophy.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. I'm glad that most of you had a great 2-week vacation. One comment on Mr. Porter's, the chat thing that he's talking about. I don't know of any other district that is excelling. I talked to Stockton Unified Manteca, I got a board member that coached for me, and we discussed this. I have not heard that they're doing any rules or laws or anything like that with it.
Name 5 in the Bay Area.
But now you're talking about the Bay Area, probably talking about the best high school in California, then those people are doing it, yes, because that's all they rely on. Okay, I have nothing else to say. I just want to talk about, yes, I'm coming to that. I wanted to talk about the, I don't know, Ms. McFarland, what committee you were talking about, but you go ahead. 2 by 2?
Downplayed my committee.
2 plus 2?
No, I'm just referring to California School Board Association. We had a.
Oh, I'm so sorry, okay.
I was the board member that
Yes.
went. All board members were invited. No one wanted to make the long drive with me. I was all alone in my car.
Yes.
But it was very interesting. They had a lot of their people from up and down the state, and they talked a lot about the legislation that has been approved, that's on the table. So it was good intel for a board member to be aware. Many boards within the Central Valley were there. Some had full boards, some had one person. Quite educational. And I do appreciate California School Board Association, because every time I go to one of their functions, I come back with some information that is helpful to me as a board member, and I will share it with the rest of my board members when the time is correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McFarland. City, Lodi 2 plus 2, Ms. Alexander, any report?
We have a meeting scheduled for the 30th.
And City of Stockton 2 plus 2.
We're waiting for dates, I believe.
Dates? San Joaquin 2 plus 2, Ms. McFarland, Dr. Ball.
We're waiting for dates. They're
Okay.
working on it.
All right, City of, has canceled some of their meetings during the summer, so I haven't had a chance to get any ideas from them. Joe Serna Charter Advisory Committee, Ms. McFarland.
We haven't had one yet.
Nothing
This-
yet?
Not this month.
Legislative Advisory Committee, Ms. McFarland, Dr. Ball.
We were talking about having something to do with this, but we haven't
We
had
haven't,
any.
yeah.
I would love to get together.
Okay, San Joaquin Board of Association, Ms. McFarland.
Have not heard from them.
Okay, Facility Master Plan Committee, Mr. Alexander, Mr. Knackstead, Ms. Dr. Ball.
There's one coming up November 8th, tonight, visit at 2 o'clock.
November 8th, okay, thank you. Board Safety Committee, Ms. Alexander, Ms. McFarland, and Dr. Ball.
No, we're discussing, it's between, is it our school or wider, and they're working on parameters, so we will do a date. I do want to correct San Joaquin County School Board, that is not San Joaquin County, that is CSBA that I reported on.
Oh, yes, no, that's not.
So it's not San Joaquin
right.
County, it's not San Joaquin
No,
County,
it's not San Joaquin
California.
County Board of Association, no, it's not, yes, okay, thank you,
I'm
Ms.
like, what is
McFarland.
that?
Okay, any other things, questions? Need a motion, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Porter to adjourn. Second by Ms. Ball. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.